size and the power of a horse, the way you get bucked off. I have 5 or 6 friends that are paralyzed from riding broncs.
To me, I'm so fascinated by your story because I'm not a big, I've actually been to a couple rodeos,
Right.
but I don't really know a thing about rodeo. And you're the rodeo king.
Yeah.
How close were you to actually going fully professional? You were a professional rodeo.
Yeah.
Rodeo cowboy.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went, grew up rodeoing since I was a kid. My dad rodeoed, and we were ranching family, but rodeoed all through junior high and high school. Went to the high school national finals, which is a feat. And then I got a rodeo scholarship to college, so I went to college basically just to rodeo. And, I had to get a degree too. So rodeo was always my main focus, even up till, until I quit. Rodeoed in college, paid for college with rodeoing, made the college national finals twice, and then was starting to pro rodeo pretty good for a while and go for it. And then kind of music took over, but it's two different worlds, and it was hard to juggle both. I was starting to play a lot, really loved music, but I also loved rodeo, so it was hard to make a decision. I just, I figured I could do this music thing a lot longer because, rodeo is hard on your body and it's a young man's game. So I was looking for the future of what can I do forever.
You did team roping? Was that your thing?
I rode saddle broncs. I mean, I team roped and calf roped too in high school and college, but my main event was riding saddle broncs, which is bucking horses.
What is that? So that's basically like bull riding, except you're on a horse,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. So it's and there's bareback riding. They ride with the rigging. You ride, it's a little bit different system, and then the saddle bronc riding, you ride with the saddle, and they buck, both bucking horses.
Why'd you do horses over bull riding?
I never loved being a bull rider. I mean, I rode bulls a little bit in high school, maybe got on 5 or 6, I just didn't crave it.
Was that insane to me?
Well, it's just, and I would say bronc riding is more dangerous than bull riding.
Really? Why?
Just because the size and the power of a horse, the way you get bucked off. I have 5 or 6 friends that are paralyzed from riding broncs, and I have a lot of friends
But not from riding bulls?
Yeah, I have friends have been hurt riding bulls, but it's different types of injuries. You might break a leg or break an arm. If you get bucked off wrong on a horse, you break your back or your neck. And I have, I think, 5 friends in wheelchairs from riding broncs. So it's super dangerous. And I was so tall, I didn't really fit being a good bull rider. A lot of those really great bull riders are real little. And so I was a little taller and lankier, so the bucking horse deal fit me better. And my dad rode saddle broncs, so I wanted to do what my dad did.
So how do you train when you're a kid to do this? Because to me, it's like you're horrible at this until you start to get good at it, but you keep getting thrown off horses, I imagine, right?
So you just keep getting on. I mean, hundreds of horses. So, we grew up riding, ranch horses and broke horses. So I knew how to ride real well. And then, but to train yourself to ride bucking horses, it's an art. And, you have to learn the timing of your horse and how to hold your rein. It's called a hack rein, and how to lift on that and how to set your feet and spur them. That all that stuff plays in part when you learn how to. But you learn how to get bucked off a lot.
Can I get my headphones down actually a little bit more? I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. To me, it's crazy because if I would not be partaking in an activity that I knew was so dangerous, especially because you probably see the injuries that your friends get, and that's so life-changing.
It is.
Some of those injuries that, to me, it's insane that you would have done this professionally or that you would have gone through with this.
And when you're in the heat of it, you don't ever think about getting hurt. I mean, your buddy might get hurt, but you're like, well, it's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen to me, yeah.
But then,
then a good buddy gets hurt and you go, oh my God, I know that guy.
Yeah, my roommate in college was a great saddle bronc rider and had a horse rear over in the chute with him, broke his back. He wasn't even out riding.
Oh my God.
He's, paralyzed from the waist down now. And I've had friends get bucked off that didn't look that bad. You're like, man, that wasn't that bad. And they just don't get up. You're like, well, what the heck happened? Then you see guys get bucked off real hard on their neck and just jump right up.
And is there no bracing or protection that riders wear?
A lot of guys now wear protective vests, which will protect your ribs and your chest from getting kicked or something. But an injury like your back or neck breaking, there's no.
What is the thrill of it? Is it the thrill of controlling a wild animal or being one with this crazy animal?
Yeah, it's that adrenaline rush.
It's just adrenaline.
Yeah. And it's competition, so you're a professional athlete, so you're still getting to compete at a professional level after high school or after college even, So, and it's that moment right before you nod your head in the chute. you don't know what this horse is going to do. I mean, typically, you ask the stock contractor ahead of time, what's this horse do? And he said, he fades to the left and, he bucks hard or whatever. He'll tell you about him. But that day, that horse might do something different. So it's the unknown of getting in there, and he could do anything today.
And that's what you would crave.
Yeah, it's that rush, and it's 8 seconds, but it's intense, and there's nothing like it. I get the question all the time of what do you get more nervous at, singing in front of 10 or 20,000 people or riding a bronc? And I would say it's still riding a bronc because there's a little bit more control in shows. You still get nervous of wanting to do good and stuff, but it's not like you're dealing with a wild animal. So it's the adrenaline that it's a drug. I still dream about it.
This is because I've heard you say that you still have dreams about this.
Yeah, I still wake up and I'll either have a dream I forgot my saddle, or I'll have a dream that I'm late for a rodeo, and just have a dream of just riding too. And I don't know how to get rid of it. I've done a lot of neat things in my life. I used to wrestle for 13 years. I don't dream about that. I still sing all the time. I don't dream about that. I still dream about riding bucking horses.
Would you ever get up on a horse, or do you feel like that would be crazy? Because even if you broke a hand or a wrist or something.
That's the thing. It's one of those things where if you're not in shape for it and doing it all the time, you're really prone to getting hurt. Like you said.
So you can't casually do this.
No.
Like you're never going to do this again, probably.
Probably not. And like team roping and stuff, you can rope till you're old. I could go rope one today and not worry about getting too hurt. I mean, you could rip a finger off or something, but if you know what you're doing, you're probably not going to get hurt. But riding a bucking horse, if you haven't done it for a while, you're prone to getting hurt. And so where I've got this career in music, I have 13 people that work for me, depending on me being there. So if I break a leg, or say I break my back and I'm out for a year or something, I don't know how to feed them. So it's a choice I had to make, and I wish I had rodeoed a couple more years just to see if I could have made the NFR. I have a lot of friends that have made the NFR, and maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't. Hindsight's 20/20. I don't know, but I do love music, and it is the same type of life. I mean, rodeo, you ride one day somewhere, you travel 6 or 8 hours, ride that day. I mean, you're on the road all the time, which is the same format as music. We play a show here, drive 8 or 10, 12 hours, play a show, and just on the road. So it's the same lifestyle, which is fun.
How much money were you making in high school doing rodeo? Like, do you make a little bit of money doing it?
You make a little bit, enough to cover your fees and
What's
stuff.
making you money? Like, do you have to win or to get paid, basically?
Yeah, so they usually pay, top 4, top 6 in the rodeo. So, I mean, in high school it was in the hundreds. You might
make
$300-$400 if you win a high school rodeo. Then college paid too. It's it's one of those sports. It's not an NCAA sport, so you enter, and it might cost you a couple hundred to enter, but then you might make $500-$600, maybe $1,000 if you ride good. And then some of these pro rodeos now, if you win, some of those guys are making upwards of $150 to $200,000 a year. If they ride real good.
God, it doesn't even seem like that much.
It's not
for the risk.
I know,
for the risk that they're putting into it.
And to go up and down the road, say you do 100 rodeos a year, you spend half of that getting to those rodeos and entering, so you're not really making that much.
But don't they make money on sponsorships or
other
things? Or
once you get real good, it's all about the sponsorship money and TV spots and all the things.
But you had this foresight, which was like you were never going to do this past 35.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way.
And my dad was a great saddle bronc rider, but he quit young too because he knew he wanted to be a rancher. So he knew that if he would rodeo till he was 35 or 40, then you basically got to start over. And there's no way to just start being a rancher at 40. So he quit early, bought a ranch, and now he's, our dads and mom have paid for 2 ranches from him having the foresight to quit early too.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at that and said, I think if I want to make a run at music, I should probably start when I'm young.
And didn't he give you this great advice, which is, wasn't there a moment where you were doing rodeo and music and you felt like you were half-assing both of them?
Yeah.
And didn't he say to you, you got to pick one, dude?
He did. Yeah.
And you've got to go all in on that
Good
one,
research.
right?
Yeah, I've said that a lot. So I was at one point riding, and then I was a pickup man. The pickup men in the rodeo, the guys that pick the guys up off the horses, I was picking up too and playing music. So I was kind of doing all 3. Some rodeos I would pick up half the rodeo, jump off my pickup horse, go back behind the chutes, put my bronc saddle on, put my bronc chaps on, ride, get off.
And that's such a fun thing, because I have to imagine you're doing that, and you got to think you're killing it because you're juggling both these things.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun feeling.
And it was fun, man. And then sometimes we'd play the rodeo dance after.
Yeah.
And I got, I was probably not riding as good as I should have been. I wasn't really focused on it because I was loving music. I was picking up good, but picking up doesn't pay any money.
What is that? What do you mean you were picking up?
Like,
you were
like the pickup man.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like you see the two guys that ride out in the arena that are riding, the broke horses. And
Yeah.
The whistle blows. They ride in and pick the guy up off the bronc. So
who falls?
Huh?
Who's on the ground basically?
Well, nobody. If you make the whistle, you get off on the pickup man. So
wait, I have no idea how this works.
I know it's hard to explain to people.
What is wait? So the horse is now bucking in the arena.
Yep. So if I'm the rider, I nod in the chute. They let the horse out. I ride him,
and this thing's like flipping out.
Yeah.
Like this thing's nuts.
Yeah, you're riding 8 seconds.
Yeah.
The whistle blows. You double grab, and then there's usually two guys out in the arena called pickup men. So they'll ride in right beside you. Instead of having to jump off on the ground or get bucked off, you get off on their horse, which is broke, and then they'll slow down. And then you get off on the ground on your feet. So those are called pickup men.
And what percentage of the time does that end up happening?
A lot. A lot of the times, guys make the whistle.
Yeah.
But
so why don't they extend the time so that less people make the whistle?
That's a good point. I've never thought of that. Who can ride the longest?
Isn't that what this should all be about?
It shouldn't be just 8 seconds. Let's make it longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least with the pros, like, why not see how far
Right.
we can push this sport?
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Why is it only 8? But that's
just what it is.